GatoPerro back with another spectacular Spider-Man figure review. Today it's on the Green Goblin. Finally got my hands on it. It's been waiting on me. I've actually had it for a couple of months now, but I never got to opening it because I've been wanting to do a review on it because I just want to document that it was ever in the package in general, right? So I'm not going to spend too long on it, and it looks pretty cool already. Inside you can see all the accessories which blow my mind. On the back we got a read-up that honestly it's just way too long for me to read, so I'll take a picture of it and show it to you guys who want to read it. And on the bottom we got the figures you could have picked up back then. So enough talking, let's get to the Green Goblin. Oh yeah, here we got the Green Goblin on his glider holding his pumpkin bomb. And I'm going into this review knowing that this is arguably probably the second, if not the best figure that Hasbro produced for this specific series, aside from the Super Articulated Spider-Man, because unlike the first couple batch of figures that came out from this series, he is so accurate from the beginning. There was a couple figures, I'm sure you guys are probably aware, but like figures like Dr. Octopus and even Spider-Man and Venom themselves, Hasbro got some early art production, and basically I guess that the art design just changed as they got closer to the show's release, and so they ended up releasing figures that are nothing like they appeared on the show. But I'm guessing Green Goblin was just one of those characters that looked the same throughout the entire production or pre-production of the show itself. So his detail is immaculate, and there's even a couple of things I didn't even notice about the show that's on the figure itself. Just particularly just this line that's over his little hood. I had no idea that was there on the show. This figure is just about flawless, and I really enjoy that the gimmick is not on the figure itself. It's not like he has like a squeeze his legs and he throws pumpkin bombs or anything. It's all just on the glider itself, which is a great accessory. For some reason the turbo on the back is purple. That's a little weird. I feel like it should be red. But the paint is minimal, but it's at least a color variations across. The gimmick is basically there's a button on the bottom of it, and even there's some, I guess it would be ventilation or thrusters on the bottom of this. And you press it and, oops, sorry you didn't see it, and that pops out, which I mostly remember from him using it to intimidate thugs to work for him, or the Gob Squad. And there is some paint for the eyes right there in the front, and these do have two big pegs for his feet, which I was a little scared to put on him at first because they're kind of long and big, and I'm kind of struggling to put them on. I can only get it about halfway on, about that much, but it's on there. He's not going to fall off anytime soon because these are very secure on there. So that's pretty cool, man. You can actually get him on the glider. His next accessory might be a little bit tough to see. It's his pumpkin bomb, and I'm very surprised that he even comes with one. It's so tiny, yet so detailed, and you can see that it has lines sculpted and painted perfectly on there. It even has a little face on the front of it. Hopefully you can focus on that. Yeah, you can see it. It's so cool, man. Especially, it's like a combination of like the comic books and the Raimi movies. Pretty cool. He does hold it in either one of his hands. So far I've only tried it on his right hand. You saw it earlier, right? Because I might not work on camera because it usually never does. Here you go. He can hold it in his right. His left looks a little bit too open to be holding it, so I take it back. Nope, never mind. Thank you, sir. Alright, it works. So, this Green Goblin, this iteration of him for the show was probably arguably one of my favorites in media in general. Even, I'll say, on the level of Willem Dafoe, if not above, because the delivery of the voice actor Steve Blum, who's also more known for his role of Wolverine, did such a great job. His laugh to me was just so memorable and naturally came off as just a maniac. Like Norman Osborn just completely lost himself. It's always a treat to see him get the role back of the Green Goblin. Like in the Shattered Dimensions game, he showed up as the Hobgoblin, but still used the Green Goblin voice. And even more recently, he showed up in Ultimate Alliance 3. I must commend Hasbro for even their efforts back in 2008, which is still fresh off of them obtaining the license from Toy Biz, that basically for this being a kid's toy or action figure, it can still appeal to the adults or the older collector audience that was a fan of the show, just based alone on how accurate it is. And if you've seen my other reviews for Spectacular Spider-Man, you know that that's a big deal to me, and I've mentioned that a lot. But this guy is just I don't know, a one-to-one, just accurate to the show. There's no no cheap out on the sculpt basically. His musculature is very accurate. The only downside on mine in particular is that this piece is kind of loose on it, so anytime I try to move up the arm, this tends to ride up. So I don't know if this is supposed to be glued down. I might just glue it down myself. But you can see there's a little bit of a different tone in green between the middle of the abdomen purple and like the rest of his boots and gauntlets kind of purple. It's not really a big deal. It kind of works that it's separated by the chest. The only thing is that they do not hinder any kind of arm articulation at all. So that's pretty cool. The head sculpt, he looks crazy as hell. Look at those beady little eyes and that big smile, and his big rubbery chin, so you can kind of fold it in and out. His hood is pretty cool. It's a separate piece, so these things are, you can move around. His little ears, and you can have the head go up a decent amount because it is just on a ball joint, and it can go back down. You can see that there's a little collar detail right here. You can still see the green of his neck underneath that. His forearms are pretty cool. Nothing too crazy, but again, accurate. And his loincloth / his belt even has the pouches. No real detail for the pouches, but not that I can remember on the show or anything. There's the back. This is its own separate piece, so I can just float up and down. Just his legs, a little bit skinny, but that's the style for the show. And then he's got his big boots. And yeah, the articulation on this is pretty surprising. So I went over the head, and unfortunately there's no waist. The only articulation he has is his torso, but that's not very beneficial for going forward. So he doesn't crunch all that much, but he can mostly go back. But it's very minimal. Like I said, these torso, shoulder things will not get in the way, so he can go out. He has a single jointed elbow, no hand rotation, which is a little unfortunate. The thing with these is that they all have wide joints, but he can kick forward a little bit past 90. And of course you can twist it around, get him to kick outward. He does have double jointed knees, and he does have ankles that go down. Not so much. They can go up mostly, and most of all, he does have a little bit of an ankle pivot, so that's beautiful. And yeah, double jointed knees is only something that was previously seen on the Spider-Man figure, so pretty cool that they give it to Green Goblin because he is pretty flexible in the show. Let's talk about some size comparisons, because with this line, it really was a mix of stuff. You know, some characters were just too big to be translated over to the actual size that would be in an action figure, maybe because they were limited by their box space. But thankfully, this guy maintains a 6-inch scale that Hasbro kind of had, at least with their Spider-Man. So here he is next to Peter Parker, Spidey, you know, obviously. The same height, so I like that a lot, that they're at least the same height, so he doesn't look like he's too short next to him. Here he is next to Shocker, another figure that's also is a 6-inch scale. They never come across each other in the show, at least not that I remember. Pretty sure they don't. Here's another man, Sandman, another guy who had some really great episodes in the series. Looks right next to him. And here he is next to Electro. Again, good scale. Never met each other. Let's go with Spider-Man's... I don't know. They're kind of both on the same chart of his number one villain. But Doc Ock, who... I can't tell. I think he's a little bit too wide, but it also kind of works because he's kind of a chubbier character. So that looks pretty good to me. Alright, and there you have it. That's my review on the Green Goblin. Very fast. You know, I really just wanted to open it for YouTube and just for document it, you know. The in-package segment, I guess, is just something a little special about it being in the box at first, and then once you get it out, you know, the poses you get to do with it. And first-time reactions, I think, are a lot better for camera. So, of course, I knew going into this that it was a really good figure, very solid, very accurate, great articulation, you know, for it being a kid's toy. It looks great, man. Look at this setup, man. I got Spider-Man on the glider fighting him, supposedly in the air, but, you know, it was kind of hard to try to balance that on the flight stand. I did try it, so yeah, that's going to do it for this video. If you ever come across this guy either loose, most of the time when he's loose, he doesn't come with his glider, so just make sure you try to snag yourself a good deal with the glider. If not, and you have to go with the in-package, I'd say probably $50 is worth it. Don't be like me. I bought this for $100 because I have issues. So, yeah, man, this has been GatoPerro. I highly recommend this figure. Stay tuned for more videos, mostly reviews. Bye.